Haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic, evidence.
To get out in front of this and try to persuade Netflix not to come forward with it. I think it's an interesting argument because what they're claiming is, Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, has had a long-standing, animosity against Diddy and sort of vice versa. And because he's at the helm, they're arguing this can't be taken seriously. This should sort of be seen as propaganda. And one of the things that Netflix hit back with was, yes, he's the executive producer. He doesn't necessarily have creative control, and that's something we.
Online rumors suggesting that Diddy's twin children, Jesse and LaToya Combs, have been placed under arrest, causing a great deal of conjecture amid the continued consequences of their father's legal issues. These unverified reports claim that the 17-year-old twins, who were previously well known for their modeling appearances in high-profile events, have suddenly had their names linked to accusations that point to a family legacy collapsing under duress. The issue is described by some as a collision of unbridled privilege, unstable finances, and the effects of growing up in an environment of tremendous riches and parental absence. Although there has been no official confirmation, the rumors have spread extensively.
Oh, I gotta get your take on it, man. Diddy, he got 50 months in prison. How you feeling about it, man?
Well, since this is going to be my last Art of the Dialogue interview, and the Diddy trial and the Diddy saga is over, like the Gene Deal story ain't bigger as the Diddy trial.
According to unconfirmed rumors, the twins were born into stardom as the offspring of the late Kim Porter and Sean Diddy Combs, were briefly held before being freed on bail. However, sources emphasize that this circumstance shouldn't be seen as a privilege that exempts individuals from responsibility. People with knowledge of the situation claim that the family is under a lot of financial strain because there are rumors that the teenagers were spending a lot of money on designer shoes, private travel, and exclusive nightlife appearances while their father was still behind bars. According to reports, his accounts are frozen and his commercial empire in precipitous collapse. The absurdity of a mogul who was formerly associated with money being supposedly unable to freely access monies to assist his own children is brought up by commentators. Observers point out that bail, if it applies, is merely a preliminary measure and that the courts have the final say over any legal decisions. The issue has developed in the wake of Diddy's reported 50-month prison sentence for solicitation-related offenses. His family, notably the twins who openly backed him, was greatly impacted by the case.
It just felt like, what? Like, is this fun for him? Is this a test?
Unverified reports claim that the twins' May 2025 high school graduation, which many had anticipated would be a turning moment, really signaled the start of a downward spiral. They supposedly started a fashion brand by the summer. One family acquaintance claimed they were spending money in an attempt to buy a sense of independence without fully comprehending what that required, which insiders saw as more of a diversion than a genuine economic endeavor. As the year went on, there were reports about secret invitation-only parties with guest lists that purportedly included people who were far older and more powerful than two adolescents would normally hang out with. As legal issues surfaced, the situation worsened, though specifics are still unclear. The time frame has drawn criticism, according to observers. After their father's trial ended in October 2025, they were left without his supervision or limitations. By December, their TikTok account, which had previously been used for humorous day-in-the-life material, was apparently the center of online controversy.
say, because there's still such a big question mark in the air, because, Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, is one of the executive producers on this series. Him, the director, Netflix in general, is not saying where they got this footage, only that it was obtained legally. Diddy's side is saying this is coming from a videographer I hired. I know we'll get into the cease and desist. One of the arguments they make is, this is subject to NDAs or agreements that the videographer had signed with Diddy because he was, employed by Diddy.
Commenters quickly overtook a previous post that was meant to promote the twins' daily routine by flooding their page with memes alluding to the contentious Netflix documentary Shane Combs by 50 Cent, The Reckoning. According to reports, the outcry got so bad that they completely banned comments, a choice that merely encouraged conjecture on the internet about what they might be attempting to avoid. One person commented, "Nothing is cute about adults harassing teenagers." Others saw a darker pattern, pointing out that the twins' abrupt quiet seemed to match rumors that their father's legal team was trying to censor documentary material. The video purportedly showed Diddy planning a public relations campaign in the days before his arrest. Commentators claim that the twins' activities are being examined as continuations of their father's scandals, making them collateral damage in a larger scandal. Because of this, some people now perceive their modeling careers, which were formerly thought to be a bright future, as the remains of a completely different phase of their lives.
To a whole lot of people. And now he's paying for it. So all these cats, I guess y'all get y'all visitation rights. Some of y'all can get y'all conjugal visits right with them. I don't give.
In 2023, the twins walked the runway for LA at Miami Swim Week, projecting confidence and momentum. However, experts claim that by 2025, their career prospects had virtually vanished as news of Diddy's guilt grew. Speaking off the record, one modeling agent stated that the controversy around them made brands reluctant to be affiliated with them. They last made a significant public appearance in November during their father's birthday celebration, where they posted on Instagram praising him as the greatest parent. Some people now consider the caption to be bittersweet in retrospect. Commentators point out that Diddy's absence is both financial and physical, as his once enormous empire is allegedly squeezed by over 70 ongoing legal litigations, a decline in bad boy recordings, and the purported demise of Revolt TV. The twins, who were used to a life of plenty, are reportedly having to deal with the realities of growing legal bills, settlements, and the expenses of handling their father's continuous problems. The 50 Cent document's publication.
Apparently, Diddy's knee has been bothering him recently, so he reported it. At some point, it was decided that he needed medical care outside of the jail, so he was taken to a Brooklyn.
According to reports, Diddy's legal team has been using a lot of resources for over a year, with settlements and defense expenses reportedly totaling 8 figures. There is little money left over to finance his children's previous way of life, and his prison commissary account is reportedly supported by what little liquid cash is left. The twins continued to spend as though a trust fund were still in place, according to a financial advisor familiar with the estate, but the monies soon ran out. From this angle, their reported arrest is perceived by some as both a legal crisis and a financial reckoning, because, despite the posting of bond, the long-term prospects seem doubtful. Observers point out that if any charges are brought, the family's remaining funds may be further strained by the growing legal costs alone, particularly because Diddy's release is still years away. Those close to the family often point to their mother, Kim Porter, who died in 2018, as a major contributing factor. Friends claim that she offered stability and discipline, and that without her direction, and with their father preoccupied with legal disputes, the issue would not have progressed this far. According to reports, the twins have been largely dependent on one another while navigating celebrity, sadness, and even legal issues on their own. a relationship that many consider to be a long-lasting reflection of their mother's influence, was developed in their early years via shared routines, accomplishments, and intimacy.
Where Diddy has been for months now, but last week he was taken to the hospital. According to reports from the New York Post, Diddy was transported from MDC in the cover of darkness at about 10 p.m. on January 30th. He was taken to a Brooklyn hospital for an MRI after reporting issues with his.
Although official information about the reported arrest has not been made public, unreliable sources speculate that it may be connected to an incident at a private Los Angeles home where drugs and minors were allegedly present. The Combs name may have eliminated any benefit of the doubt, according to a legal observer who noted that these cases are frequently settled discreetly for wealthy families. Although release on bail, if appropriate, may provide a temporary reprieve, analysts say prosecutors may use the situation as an opportunity to demonstrate that Diddy's legacy will not shield his family from accountability. In terms of music, Quincy, Christian, Chance, and Love, the youngest of the twin siblings, seem to have maintained a low profile. Chance has been conspicuously missing from public discourse, despite being near in age to the twins, and formerly touted as a vital source of support. Quincy, age 24, is reportedly concentrating on his own profession away from family drama, despite Delilah having previously stated in a 2023 interview that the siblings relied strongly on one another.
So what they're asking for is this. They are saying, look, he was found not guilty on all the serious charges, racketeering, fraud, force, coercion, all of those found not guilty. He wasn't charged with, but it was part of the force issue. The only thing he's left with is the Mann Act, which is taking across state lines and paying them for
The same lawyers managing. According to sources, Jesse and Delilah have second-tier representation because Diddy's appeals are allegedly unable to handle the twins' case. Diddy's group is in survival mode. The twins aren't the top priority, according to one legal insider. The girls are now dealing with a legal system that does not tolerate apparent privilege or disobedience. According to observers, a plea agreement that avoids juvenile detention might be their best option, but even that would have important requirements. Insiders contend that their arrest is more than just a tabloid story. It depicts a family in the fall. Diddy's conviction did more than simply ruin his career. An entire dynasty was brought to an end. Once seen as a calming force, his mother, Janice Combs, has encountered her own issues, such as accusations of financial mismanagement at Bad Boy Entertainment and her public support of her son last year.
Responsible for Diddy's day-to-day life, so he is able to provide a lot of information about what that life was like. He goes into detail on extensive
Their social media presence, which was once a source of influence and revenue, has turned into a liability, and their fashion brand has halted. They are currently radioactive. No one wants to be associated with them, a modeling representative stated simply. Industry insiders claim that their last name is their only residual value, and even that has been severely damaged. The Combs twins, who used to walk the runways like they were mounting a throne, are now facing the fact that stardom without structure can rapidly turn destructive. However, commentators warn that the narrative may not finish with this arrest. The twins' problems may only be the beginning of a much bigger reckoning, according to legal experts and former Bad Boy collaborators. Sources are still talking about purported parties at Diddy's Los Angeles estate behind closed doors, the allegations that young ladies were lured into that setting, and the so-called freak-offs mentioned during his trial. According to some insiders, the twins may have known more than they have openly admitted and were more than just onlookers. The extent of the issue might be greatly increased if prosecutors choose to investigate further. The unanswered question of what is left of Diddy's assets and who ultimately controls them hangs over everything.
in October 3rd. If the judge denies bail, then Trump is going to make a decision possibly immediately thereafter.
Most likely, the judge is going to, based on
I don't know.
previous decisions, it feels like the judge is going to.
His New York apartment, Miami waterfront property, and collection of high-end cars might all be seized. A financial expert familiar with the matter stated that everything is on the table and that the twins might lose everything if they are involved in any dubious dealings. The fire seems to be only getting started, even though their arrest may have been the catalyst. The lingering shadow of the Sean Combs documentary adds fuel. The Reckoning depicted a family constrained by quiet in addition to outlining Diddy's purported wrongdoing. Once thought to be inconsequential cameos, footage of the twins is now being re-examined, with sources alleging they were there during potentially legally relevant occasions. According to one source, they observed items that implied Diddy might face dire repercussions if the twins ever made the decision to speak. Legal insiders claim that the question now is not whether they will be under pressure to provide information, but rather when. According to reports, Diddy's legal team is preparing for such a scenario. The game is ended if the twins flip. One lawyer involved in the case acknowledged that they were the final line of defense. However, allegiance might not last when their own prospects are at risk. The attorney continued, "They are teenagers. They're afraid, and frightened people speak. The stakes are obvious, even though their next court date has not been announced. This goes beyond a single instance. From a prison cell, it concerns the future of the Combs name. Diddy's girls may now be the weakest link in his formerly impregnable armor, since they were raised in the spotlight but were unprepared for its darker side. Diddy's capacity to control the narrative is limited. I've previously seen variants of this tale. The public backlash, the disintegrating legacy, and the well-known children. The Combs twins, however, are not your typical celebrity children. They represent the final vestiges of a collapsing dynasty. Their arrest is not a unique incident, it's a component of a chain reaction, and Diddy himself might be the next item to fall. The twins are currently free on bond, but the walls seem to be...
Just to be real for a second, there are a lot of lawyers who call this legal extortion, and that this is the way the legal system works, which is you threaten somebody with reputational harm, and in this case, it's interesting that Jay-Z, who's very wealthy, said it would be financial ruin.
According to reports, their father's adversaries are circling. The legal system is keeping an eye on things. Some reports indicate that 50 Cent, Diddy, wasn't the only person exposed in the documentary. It might have created the conditions for his family's disintegration. The twins' detention, according to observers, is a part of a broader pattern of activity that dates back years rather than an isolated incident. Former Bad Boy associates claimed they weren't just onlookers, but active participants. Additionally, the consequences could go far beyond their current legal issues if prosecutors look into who they were friends with, who gave them money, or what they saw. According to one insider, they have knowledge, cautioning that Diddy might suffer greatly if the twins talk. Once thought to be harmless, their